Welcome back to the Red River Cares podcast. I'm your host, Gina Burke. Today on the show, we have Director of Recruiting, Jay McKeown. He is an Army vet, former DC law enforcement officer, and now recruiter. He is here to talk about career transitions, his amazing connection to Operation Hat Trick, and why veterans make amazing employees. So with that, Jay, welcome to the show. Hey, welcome to the Red River Cares podcast.
Hey, Gina.
So happy to have you.
So awesome to see you as always.
All right, so let's get into it. So if you can start and just go over the basics, like introduce yourself, your role at Red River, who you are. Just start with that, and then we'll go from there.
All right, that sounds pretty easy. I'm Jay McKeown. I've been here at Red River for coming up on a year, 9-10 months. The director of talent acquisition. Work here at our office in Chantilly. I was going to say at headquarters. Our headquarters is in New Hampshire. I have a great team, and still learning about all of our great things that we do here at Red River. And that's me.
All right, well, you passed the first question, so
Yeah.
good. We're moving on to the next one.
All right. One for one.
Okay, one for one. You're doing great. So the Charitable Foundation, as you know, we've always supported veterans, and specifically, veterans transitioning into civilian life after service. I know you have an interesting story and path with your service in the Army, moving into law enforcement, and now into corporate America, and this like career after career journey. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about that and what that's been like for you.
Yeah, one of our passions here at Red River is really helping transitioning vets and transitioning law enforcement and other individuals looking for a second career. So I guess you could say this is kind of a career after a career after a career. So I originally did 10 years in the Army, had a great time traveling the globe, meeting some amazing people, really involved in some really cool things, and then did another decade with DC Police, which was also a really amazing journey, and meeting some really amazing people, doing some really great things to help people. And then decided to join the fun of the business world, and was really reluctant to see if my skills translated from military and police into business. And it started slow, but found out they really do. And I really made a mission, from the second that I came into business, to help as many people that I could to really have the same transition and have the same understanding that your skills can translate into business. And really, it's helped me really understand the type of candidates that we're looking for. I think historically, in recruiting, you really look for someone that has been in that same industry for 2 decades, and they're just a SME in that area. And it's really evolved now to where you're looking for people with multiple things in their background, that really can come with a high communication level, that can really work inside of a team, that really has a gigantic upside, which opens the door to veterans, to people looking for another career after they've retired, people that, maybe you're at a 2-year school trying to learn about IT, and you're just looking for your first entry into, the new field. So we really do a lot to help that community. I love to help them personally and professionally, to really ease that transition kind of stress off of people. So I've been effectively moved from career to career to career, and taken those skills into where I'm sitting now, into a director seat. And it's really amazing to be surrounded by a company and people that Their mission is to transform technology and to help people at the same time. And I think having all of these common foundations of things around us really allows for people like me and you to really be really effective with a lot of people.
Yeah. I'm curious. So, I think especially for a dad, you're a parent,
Yes.
you get in a career and it's easy to stay, right? You're in a stable job and, you've got a certain income and, it's so nerve-wracking to think about flipping careers. And I feel like your journey you've flipped them a few times. So I don't know. How did you have the courage to be like, this isn't working. I'm ready to try something new. So I'm curious about that for you.
Parenting is a regular question I get personally and professionally. So not only did I change career 2 times, I also changed my last career as a single parent to um, my twins are 10 now, so they were 3, I think, when I got them by myself. So as a single parent, moving into a new career, I think the foundation of that is just being really decisive in what you're doing. So if you're really going to make a change and decide this is what you want to do, it's going at it 100%. I knew that in law enforcement that I was an essential employee, meaning that I could get called back to the office. That I couldn't do that being a single parent to 3-year-old twins, and that I had to find something else. So, I, yeah, and it's really just listening to your heart and knowing that if your inner voice is saying this isn't right for me, this is a job that I'm just going through the motions with. I don't believe in this. I just kind of I show up for work and kind of float through the day and collect a paycheck. There's something in you telling you that this probably isn't for you. So, my first and foremost would be listen to that inner voice. There's a reason that it's talking to you and telling you to find something that you believe in. So then it's looking and finding that and then really going after it 100 miles an hour and really giving yourself the best opportunity to, make that a success.
Yeah. I'm curious about like your job skills. So what you learned in the army and then what you did in law enforcement and now what you do as a recruiter, like what are those through lines or those threads that kind of weave in all of those careers? I'm curious how that shows up for you.
God's question here.
I mean, I am an
Well,
Emmy award winning reporter,
yes.
so
Well,
I'm
I
just
mean,
living it up.
well, I
So,
think that's the foundation of multi-careered people finding new careers is finding that skill set that goes along with everything, and it's communication. Whether I was deployed to Iraq dealing with local nationals that speak a different language in a wartime situation where you're trying to get this family and this kid into a safe area, or if I'm in DC with some type of crime scene or something's happening and everyone calls you when it's chaos. It's not a normal call that you're going to, and being able to effectively communicate to get people safe. It's the same thing in the business world. Everything is a tough decision, but your ability to communicate it effectively with people in a calm sense of state really kind of sets you apart. So, on my team here, we have a couple veterans and actually a couple prior law enforcement. And I really have seen some of the same skill sets in them. Their ability to be in a very chaotic situation here at work where maybe someone didn't make the right decision or people are upset about something. And these individuals to be able to assess it calmly and to really find a calm sense of state to find a solution. Because as we all know, when you're really upset about something and, it's really bothering you, it's tough to make a really good decision. So I think the number one skill set that translates over is effective communication.
cool. Interesting. I don't know if that's what I would have guessed, but I see that knowing you, so that makes
Yeah.
sense for me.
Well, I think the
Um,
second tier of that is conflict resolution,
yeah.
which is really it goes hand in hand with communication because we all have conflict in our lives every day with our
Mhm.
kids, with our coworkers, with that person at the grocery store, with the TV, and it's the ability to assess the conflict and to find a sensible solution that works for you and for other people, and to be able to communicate that effectively. So there's a lot of people in a lot of jobs, not just law enforcement and military, but have you worked at a restaurant? Have you worked in realty? Have you worked at a help desk situation at Best Buy? Dealing with the community and the public, you deal with constant conflict, and the more you
Mhm.
deal with it in a positive manner with positive outcomes, the more it becomes a intrinsic skill that you can use for other things. And yeah, that's another big add-on that really helps people transition.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying, communication, conflict resolution, I mean, those are amazing skills to bring to any business. And I think that's why Red River is so passionate about employing veterans. And I think it's, I don't know, 13% of our workforce or maybe more now. In your opinion, how can companies support veterans transitioning out of the military and into business better? I don't know, just any thoughts on that?
Couple different ways. I know one way we use here that works well is a employee resource group, giving employees to have a unique voice with unique people to have conversations that you might not be able to have in your workplace areas. So ERGs are a great thing, but kind of as a company overall, I think it's different strategies to attract talent. You have SkillBridge and Hiring Our Heroes, which are a few programs that brings veterans in directly from active duty over to the business field. So highly recommend companies to really spearhead both of those programs as we do, to really find active duty talent that is active right now. I mean, these people are out there defending our country right this second at the tip of the spear with in IT. They're working in the most complex IT systems that we have right this second. So thinking about bringing a person in that's doing that right now into this business area could be so highly effective. And really, a lot of times the veterans, they come in and they have different perspectives on things, and their ability to communicate that, and for management to allow that open door communication, I think can be really effective for the business and for the veterans.
Yeah. So we've had Dot Sheehan on the podcast from Operation Hat Trick the past couple seasons, and she's coming on the next episode, which is exciting. And they always have amazing things to report about when it comes to veterans. But I know you have a very unique connection with Operation Hat Trick too when you joined Red River, and it was just this weird, like, circle of life moment. So if you can talk a little bit about that, I think that'd be super cool to share.
I joined Red River. I joined from a company, MAG Aerospace. I came from, and I loved MAG, and it was a great job. I had a great company. So to leave them and to come to a new company, as everyone, it's a life decision. I think a lot of times people that are outside of talent acquisition don't always look at people changing positions as being a life decision. They look at it as more as a job decision. But all of these decisions, when people change employments and go somewhere else, it's a life decision. It's affecting your significant other, your kids, your living arrangements. So coming from MAG to here was a lot, and you always have doubts when you come in and you weren't sure, and then these all these amazing people, but I left all these people that I love, and I got this package in the mail, and I opened this package up, and it said it was from Red River, and I saw that it was Operation Hat Trick when I opened it up, and sure enough, is I saw an Operation Hat Trick hat, and then I pulled out the card, and on the card it said that Operation Hat Trick was founded by one of my friends who passed away, Mike Koch. And at that moment, it kind of took me back a little bit. I wasn't expecting to see Mike's face when I opened up a box from Red River. But at that moment, I knew that, whether you believe everything happens for a reason or whatever your theory is on life, I just felt like I was in the right place at the right time. It's just one of those weird moments where you're like, all right, I'm supposed to be here. So just backstory with Mike. Me and Mike grew up together in Southern Maryland and played football and won a SMAC championship together. So I was the quarterback and he was my fullback. So Mike was a Navy SEAL and a pretty bad dude. So he was a guy that when I was running sweeps that he was lead blocking for me. So he was always a guy that you wanted taking out the defense as you were running in the line. And then yeah, eventually he went into SEALs and unfortunately lost his life in Operation Iraqi Freedom. And his parents and family and others have been able to use his inspiration and what he's done through his amazing career into Operation Hat Trick, which has helped so many veterans and gotten the word out to so many people. So, yeah, it was a pretty insane gift to get when I started the job.
Yeah, super weird. I had chills when you were saying that because it is so strange. Like, I mean, I think often a lot about like the 6 degrees of separation. And I think we all really are quite connected. But yeah, that one's really close to home and just super interesting and very cool.
Yeah, it's one of those moments when, we can all say that there's moments in life where you can remember that exact moment. Like you can remember where you were at and you can kind of have this 3D image or you can kind of spin around time. And that was one of those moments when I pulled out that box and I saw Mike and
Yeah.
yeah, it just shows the impact of friends, of love, of veterans, of that we have, the impact we have on each other that, yeah, we kind of need each other.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the rapid fire round? Are
I don't
you
know.
prepared?
Should I
Are
drink
you
a lot
ready?
more coffee real quick?
Yes, please. 10 more sips.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's see. So you mentioned before when you were serving in the army that you traveled to a lot of places. So I'm curious, what is your favorite place that you've ever traveled?
Favorite place? Venice. Venice, Italy. I love the gondolas. I love that you got to go to the city by boat and then you get there and there's no traffic and it's like it's cut out of a storybook. Like it's a complete different it really is like when you imagine like some storybook land. That's what Venice was. It was just
Cool.
magical.
I'll add that to the bucket list.
Oh,
That
it's
sounds
on it.
awesome.
I need to get back soon. I tell my twins about it all the time, who are 10 now,
Oh.
and they also remind me they haven't flown yet. So hopefully we can yeah go visit here
Yeah.
soon.
All right. I want to know a resume or interview tip that people often overlook. Something so simple that you're like, God darn, why don't people just do this basic thing?
Yeah, so I would say the number one thing from veterans, from really anyone, is having one resume for all of your job applications. That is the number one problem. Every single application that you make for a job should be tailored to that specific job. So every job comes out with, okay, these are the requirements, these are the duties, these are the desired requirements, and your resume should speak to that job announcement. So, like for me, I have a military resume, I have a police resume, I have a recruiter resume, I have a director resume, I have a all of these different resumes that you then tailor to that announcement. So, looking at the job you're applying for, looking at the requirements that are required for that position, and ensuring your resume has those requirements in there. Because once it goes to a recruiter, if you can't pass that very first step of having the requirements in your resume, you can't get to a real person.
Good tip. And I think you could use like ChatGPT for this, right? Like, why are we not leveraging the tools?
Yeah. ChatGPT is a tool that should be used right now. We use it in recruiting and throughout our business to be a value add, not necessarily a finished product, but a draft to
Mm,
where you could take your resume and say, help me match my resume to this job announcement. And it will help you kind of tailor it closer. And then you would take that and then manually tweak some things. But yeah, it's utilizing the tools that we have available.
good tip. All right, last question. So, you've been an athlete, army, law, all the things. Where did you find the greatest sense of brotherhood and why?
The greatest sense of brotherhood. Man,
Yep.
that's a tough one
I
because
know.
yeah. So, um, yeah, that's a really you're 5 for 5 or
I
with
know.
questions. I mean, I think it's different. I think it's allowing yourself to be vulnerable around a group of people and you all having the same goals and dealing with the same struggles. So I think through football, through high school and college, that relationship, those friends you have for life, and then through military, being in a life or death situation with people
Yeah.
builds a bond. But then, you know, law enforcement is also it's a underrated beast. We represent our veterans all the time, and if I could do anything on my platform, it would be the recognition to law enforcement,
Mm,
because me being in war and dealing with things, you kind of expect going to war that there's going to be bad things. I mean, you're going to war. As a law enforcement officer here in the United States, you don't necessarily expect to see that many bad things. So, I was a police officer in Southeast DC for a decade, and I saw, some pretty challenging things in that area for 10 years. And it was every day. And I think the rapport that I built with some of the people inside of that struggle probably would be the strongest bond, being that it just happened over and over and over again. And there was times with law enforcement where society always didn't see eye to eye. And so you're affecting your job to protect somebody. And, there may be some things where they're not really happy to see you on the scene, but you've been called to help them. And so your brotherhood of men and women and officers and everybody that's there with you, going through those struggles, I think developed this unbreakable bond that I'd have to I have to give it to them.
cool. That's really interesting. That was cool to hear your perspective on that. All right, so we're
It was
wrapping
an
up.
experience. Yes.
So, anything you'd like to add or any last thoughts as we conclude our time together?
Yeah, I think it's just people not being afraid to change, to make a
Mm,
change. If my story can speak to anybody, it's somebody that's in a job that maybe doesn't speak to them, and they don't see a upside to where they're going to be in a few years, and really making a internal decision to do something they want to do. Maybe you want to be a systems administrator, but to do that, you have to go be a tier one help desk support 1 or 2, and really mapping that out. So, if I could stress anything, it's really reassessing where you're at in your career, and if you're in the right place, or if you really need to make some tough decisions to really further your career that's better for you and your family.
yeah. Yeah, you're making me think about my daughter. She's, about to head into senior year and then thinking about her career and like where she wants to go. And I think kids feel so immense pressure to like pick this career and they're locked in forever. And what I'm hearing you say is like you have to kind of keep reassessing your value system and being like, is this aligned with me right now based on the fact that I have a three year olds and I'm a single dad, like this isn't working, even though this career might be okay for me. Like I like it, but it's just not aligned with something I value more at this time. But that continues to evolve and shape as we get older and our life situations change. And I don't know, it's this constant like sort of reassessment. And I think we can't be afraid of that, and just kind of continue to reinvent ourselves, I guess is what I'm hearing you say.
Keeping the same basic foundation principles throughout all of those jobs. So no matter if
Yeah.
you're working at, at Clean Boats, or if you're a server at a restaurant, you're always on time. You're always respectful. You always work hard. You always do these basic foundations in all jobs. And so when you finally get to the job that you want, those foundations are already there, and they're already doing that from every job you've ever done, which I think will help for a 16-year-old to
Yeah.
not really be turn their nose down to being a server, or to working somewhere that maybe it's not an end goal type of job, but it's just more building foundational job skills that really also translate, as you further your career.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this was so fun. Thank you for coming on the pod.
Yay. Always fun talking to you, Gina.
Hopefully you enjoyed that episode. I had so much fun hearing Jay's journey and thought he gave great advice about knowing when it's time to switch jobs or careers. His connection to Operation Hat Trick will never not blow my mind. And his tip about customizing a resume to the job you're applying for seems so simple, but apparently not enough people are doing it. Next time on the show is Dot Sheehan from Operation Hat Trick. She is a 4-time guest and always makes for an amazing interview. As always, follow the foundation on social media on Facebook or Instagram at Red River Charitable Foundation, or follow Red River for career opportunities or other news on X or on LinkedIn. And as always, tune in next time to be inspired.